Nigel Farage hinting at a potential return to the front line in a piece for The Telegraph yesterday. Going to bring you all the very latest on this, guys. But as ever, please remember to hit that subscribe button, hit the bell, and of course you can support my work, support my reports here on YouTube by hitting that join button and becoming a supporter. Would really appreciate it. Now, Nigel tweeted, Boris Johnson should be under no illusions about how serious the situation is, linking to a Telegraph piece. And just to give you the backdrop for his comments, the recent YouGov poll that Nigel actually mentions in his article had the Brexit Party's level of support. And I did a separate report on this, so I'm not going to go spend too much time on it today. But it showed the Brexit Party on 5% in the polls. Pretty extraordinary given the Brexit Party's recent level of activity when you consider the fact that Lib Dems are only slightly above that on 6%. And what's really interesting is that when you delve into those numbers from that YouGov poll, it included 8% of those who had voted Conservative in 2019 have now switched to the Brexit Party, and 9% of all of those who voted Leave in 2016 have also now switched back to the Brexit Party. So that gives you some context of where we are. And Nigel's piece basically making the point that the Brexit Party is ready to fight if the government takes the easy way out on a deal, saying that an Australia-style exit really would represent a clean break. Brexit, Nigel making a number of points in the article, saying that Johnson has to remember that his appeal was about getting Brexit done. That was the bedrock of his majority. And if he oversees anything remotely like a botched Brexit deal, his support around the country could fold like a cheap suit. Nigel saying the problem lies with the withdrawal agreement, or what Barnier prefers to call it, the EU treaty. Despite all of the hard talk and the posturing, Nigel says he believes that a deal is the most likely outcome from these negotiations with the EU. But he says that the government could accept that the withdrawal agreement, a deal based on the withdrawal agreement, will come back to haunt them over the next few years, instead calling for an Australia-style exit that would represent a clean break, Brexit, saying that Britain could reject the withdrawal agreement and begin 2021 some basic agreements on the rights of EU citizens and on border controls. And Nigel saying if Johnson went down this path, he would support him 100%, and by the time of the next general election, there would be a real possibility then of a Canada-style free trade agreement. Nigel says that adopting this approach would also make Nicola Sturgeon's support for Scottish independence more difficult, because she would have to explain to Scottish voters why she intends to give away fishing rights and join the euro. And Nigel's piece concludes really by saying that if the government does decide to take the easy way out and do a deal based on the withdrawal agreement, he knows that many of his excellent colleagues in the Brexit Party would be prepared to restart the fight, pointing out that as UKIP proof David Cameron, highly motivated insurgent political parties can split the Conservatives very effectively. And Nigel saying he sincerely hopes, genuinely hopes it doesn't come to that, but Johnson should be under no illusions about how serious the situation is. Now, I know from your feedback, lots of you concerned about sell-out deal, lots of you wanting no deal, a clean break, WTO. One of the another of my former Brexit Party MEP colleagues, Alexandra Phillips, she's certainly not having any of it. She's got a piece in the Telegraph saying, ignore the theatrics of EU negotiators. Britain is heading for a sell-out Brexit deal. Saying if there were a real threat of no deal around the corner, Brussels would be behaving very differently, and that Brussels would already be conducting its cabal of Remainer chums in Westminster to go to war. The fact they are so alarmingly quiet makes her feel very downhearted indeed. Well, what's happened today? Well, on the EU side, Michel Barnier, as the Mail report, offering the UK a Brexit olive branch. That's nice, isn't it? And finally admits there'll have to be compromises on both sides for a trade deal to be agreed, as he warns time is running out. Well, let's just point one thing out here. The EU has wasted time all the way through this, and those of you who watched recent reports will see how the EU from one day wanted to intensify talks, then didn't want to intensify talks, and then suddenly did want to intensify talks. 1 minute a Canada-style deal was fine, the next minute Canada's not on the table. So if there's anyone to blame here, it's the EU's constant switching and shiftiness all over this. The Telegraph reporting today, though, that the Brexit trade deal is within reach, Michel Barnier said, before offering to meet all of the UK's conditions to reboot negotiations with Brussels. The chief negotiator said that both the EU and the UK would have to compromise to get the deal done in a conciliatory speech to the European Parliament in the Belgian capital. Barnier said, we want a deal that will be mutually beneficial to both parties in respect of the autonomy and sovereignty of both sides, a deal reflecting a balanced compromise. And he said that despite the difficulties we faced, an agreement is within reach if both sides are willing to work constructively, if both sides are willing to compromise. The speech was intended to satisfy, the Telegraph report, a British demand before negotiations resume, that Brussels makes clear that it too will compromise to make a deal. And of course, again, this whole situation has been caused by the EU summit, whereby effectively, not only did they withdraw the intention to intensify talks, they also effectively said all of the movement needs to come from the UK side. And as I point out, this sort of to and fro-in from the EU side, all over the place, gets very little pick-up in the British mainstream media. Now, number 10 described the comments as significant and said it was studying the speech from Barnier. EU ministers welcomed Barnier's recognition of UK sovereignty. Now, just to give you an idea of where the British public are on all of this, YouGov did a poll yesterday asking the British public, do you think the UK government do or do not want to reach a trade deal with the EU? And guys, in the comments, let me know what you think about that. Do you think the UK side, do you think the British government, Boris Johnson, are trying to get a deal or not? The public are somewhat split on this, but 43% do think that the UK government want a deal with the EU, while just 36%, of just over a third of the British public, don't think that the British government want a deal with the EU. Interestingly, just 22% of leavers, so around a fifth only, think that the UK, the British government, doesn't want a deal, and 21% don't know. So there you go. I previously reported on that YouGov poll that showed the Brexit Party back up at 5%. As I've said, lots of good words all the way through these negotiations from Lord Frost, but really you have to wait and see what happens in terms of action. Is there going to be a sellout deal last minute? Will the British government hold firm? Nigel Farage making absolutely clear that he's monitoring the situation, the Brexit Party monitoring the situation. Let's wait and see what happens, guys. Let me know in the comments, please. What's your prediction for what's going to happen? What do you think about this intervention from Nigel Farage? What do you make of all of this? What do you want to see Boris do? Let me know in the comments, guys. And as ever, if you've enjoyed this report, if you found it helpful, informative, please hit that thumbs up button. Really appreciate it. And please become a supporter. You get the Westminster logo next to your name when you comment after. You might see a few of them down below. But if you hit that join button, become a supporter, help me do these videos, I'd really appreciate it. And of course, as ever, thank you very much for watching.